Good afternoon. Welcome to the Student Council debates for the class of 2018. This year's debate will follow the following format. Each candidate will deliver a 1-minute opening statement, then respond to questions from me and the audience. They will only be able to respond to the questions if they are directly addressed. They will then answer questions from you, the audience, then deliver a closing statement. We will first hear from the vice presidential candidates, then the presidential candidates. The responsibilities of the vice president are as follows. The vice president oversees all planning and coordinating of pep rallies and dances, and assists the president in all duties that need to be performed. The president shall oversee all activities of the student council, act as the president of his grade, and act as the immediate liaison between the student body and the administration. We ask that you hold your applause and comments until the very end of the debate. And now, as we introduce the candidates. For Vice President, please welcome Eric Lasnes. Carlos Jimenez. Dieter Prusing. And Carlos Vela. We will now begin with opening statements. Eric, you have 1 minute. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And begin.
Good afternoon, Belen family. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Eric Lastres, and I'm running for next year's Student Body Vice President. Being a lifer, I've had the opportunity to participate firsthand in countless experiences and activities throughout my years, from 6th grade lock-in to tombolas, from grad venture to Belen vs. Columbus games. I've seen it all, and I've been in your shoes before. Although our school is by far the best in the county, especially better than the one on 87th Avenue, I think we can all agree our school always has room for improvement. As an experienced leader, my main objective has always been to bring out the best version of people. And I've come to find that in order for people to improve, they need to be motivated by it. If we want to make Belen better and bolder, we need to want it. So as VP, my #1 task is that, to get you so excited, spirited, passionate, and hyped, so we use that fire to transform our lives individually and as one Belen family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lasnes. Mr. Jimenez, your time begins now.
Hi, my name is Carlos Jimenez. I wanted to let you know that I am disciplined, proactive, and very thorough. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I have leadership abilities and experience, as I was a student council president at my previous Catholic school. I like being involved in any good program, and have great ideas for creating more. I've already opened a few doors to help with that, as I am a member of most honor societies and every community service organization here at Belen. I love my school, and as excited I am to go into med school after graduation, I know that also means leaving Belen. So I want to leave you with a good legacy and good examples to be followed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Prusing, your time begins now.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dieter Prusing, a.k.a. Dietz, and I'm running to be your next vice president. So a little bit about me. I've been at Belen since 6th grade, and also I played football until sophomore year. And I'm currently a captain and 3-year starter on the varsity lacrosse team. I've been involved with a few different clubs, such as Athletes for Charity, Mu Alpha Theta, and also Student Council. And there are a lot of reasons why I'm running for vice president. One of the many things that I learned throughout my time at Belen is that fun adds a great deal of value to the learning experience. And we all need a break sometimes, and I think that more events such as field day and pep rallies can really make the year more enjoyable. That being said, I feel that sometimes these events don't always incorporate the ideas of every grade level, and I have a really good ideas that, on how to change that and make sure that all of Belen is represented and all of your voices are heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prusing. Mr. Vela, your time begins now.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Vela. I came in 9th grade. But because of my involvement in Belen's academic clubs and Belen's athletic programs, I've been able to have Belen's experience as well as any of these candidates. I'm a two-sport varsity athlete and have maintained a 4.0 unweighted GPA and a 5.0 weighted GPA. Unlike past vice presidential candidates, I'm not running to improve my college resume. I'm running because I genuinely love this school and I want to give you, the student body, a voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vela. We will now move on to the questions that are addressed to all of the candidates. Beginning with Eric Lasnes. The job of Vice President and President are very demanding. What are you willing to do differently or give up in order to meet the demands of the office?
Thank you, TJ. So, a little bit about myself. This year, I actually started the SLB group, and I have been the president and founder of that group. It's a very rigorous group. It involves a lot of work, and I think that's why I'm very qualified as vice president, because I've already been able to experience what it feels like to lead a group of men, lead a group of kids, and fun activities and spiritual development, stuff like that. As VP, and when I announced my willingness to run, I knew that I was going to have to give up some responsibility in SLB, and also in my other service clubs and leadership responsibilities throughout the year. So SLB is a big thing for me, and that's basically what I spend most of my time in. I know as VP, I'm going to have to give some responsibility to other people, and I'm more than willing to do that because I know that my purpose as VP is greater than just me putting it on a college application or putting it on a resume. My purpose as VP is to serve you guys as the hype man for the school, and I'm willing to give up anything and everything to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lasnes. Mr. Jimenez, your question is, what is the one thing you want to accomplish by the end of your tenure?
Well, if there's one thing I want to accomplish is the fact that we've only had one pep rally this year, and I want to increase the quantity and the quality of those pep rallies by having more and planning at least 3 months in advance. Also, there's one thing that I wanted to emphasize here in today's debate is that we should allow the use of headphones in the library because they would diminish the amount of talking that would happen and the amount of penitentials that would be written. People would be more focused on their work and would be talking to each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Prusing, your question is, what is the number one flaw you see in student council, and how will you fix it?
Well, the number one flaw I see in student council, again, kind of going off my last question, was that the entire student body is really not being represented that well. If you really think about it, when it goes into planning all these events and stuff like that, sure, the vice president and president usually consults the rest of student council, but those homeroom presidents and vice presidents don't always do a great job in reaching out to every individual idea that their homerooms have. And I know that there's almost 1,500 students at Belen, and they all have great ideas, and they all have their own likes and dislikes. So if you take into account all of that, I think that I can really help just have everyone's voices heard.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vela, your question is, after reading your platform, what do you feel can be realistically achieved and what cannot be achieved?
Okay, so what can be realistically achieved? What I think one of the main things that we could achieve is the expanding intramural sports. So what I want to do with the intramural sports is I'm pretty sure there's a intramural sports tournament for soccer. What I want to do is not only get it for soccer, but also expand it to other sports, say basketball, football, and soccer and volleyball. Another thing that I think could be achieved is improving Spirit Week. So I would like to go to every homeroom, get all their ideas, and then vote with them. Vote the best ideas in every homeroom, vote in the student council, and represent the student body. Thank you.
Mr. Vela, we will now move on to the closing statements. Mr. Lasnes, you have 1 minute. Ready, set, go.
A better, bolder Belen. Regardless of the amount of time we have been part of this family, we are all here for a reason. We have chosen Belen over the many great schools in our community, and we can attest that the ways we grow together are immeasurable. As Vice President, I owe it to our Belen brotherhood to make our time here the most enjoyable and thrilling it can be. As 1 year comes to a close, another one opens up. Coming together through electrifying pep rallies, animate competitions, crazy school spirit, and unifying activities, we will make this happen. As next year's Vice President, I ensure that your toes will be tingling when you wake up in the morning. I guarantee that we will have the most exhilarating, eventful, and hyped-up year anyone has ever seen. Throughout this debate, I have demonstrated some ways that I will not only be bold for you, but a better Vice President for the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lascelles. Mr. Jimenez, your time begins now.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that what you guys see here, what you guys saw here today, is that through our campaigns and our posters and our platform especially, we came here today to actually show you and the essence of what those platforms consist of. But I wanted to let you guys know that I am here for you, and that if you're going to vote for somebody up here, make sure it's the right choice. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Prusing, your time begins now.
I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight and watching the debate, and especially for the two great questions. I think we really learned a lot about each other as candidates, and I think you probably learned a lot too. And I personally think that any one of these gentlemen would make a fantastic vice president. In all honesty, I'd be lying to you if I told you that all of my ideas would become a reality, because we know that that's just not how it works. But I don't want to stand here and make any empty promises. But there's one thing that I can promise you, and that's that I'm going to work very hard for you guys, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's really all you can ask for out of us. I know what it takes to be a leader, and I'm ready to commit myself 100% to Belen next year. And don't forget to vote Dieter Prusing for Vice President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prusing. Mr. Vela, your time begins now.
By this Friday, all 4 presidential and vice presidential candidates will have thrown all their campaign promises to you. Rather than voting for the candidate who promises you something that you have a feeling will not happen, vote for the candidate who you feel will back the voice up of the student body. Vote Vela for VP.
Thank you, Mr. Vela. You guys may now exit the stage. We will now welcome the presidential candidates. Lucas Christie. Marcos de la Hoz. Sebastian George. Felipe Pardo. We will begin with the opening statements. Lucas Christie, you have the floor. Begin.
Gentlemen, my name is Lucas Christie, and I'm running for Student Council President. As most of you already know, I'm running on a very important pro-ketchup platform, because we are tired of always running out of ketchup in our 6th period lunch. And because a campaign cannot be run entirely on a condiment, I am also proposing 3 important changes here at Belen. Number 1, for example, after waiting 15 minutes in line at the cafeteria, I believe at least drinks like chocolate milk and sodas should be available to us. Number 2, I will push the administration to allow us to download more apps onto our iPads and in general have more freedom. Number 3, while dress codes are very important, I will push for more class polos to be worn on Fridays and for customizable lanyards for each class. To sum it up, a vote for Christie is a vote for more apps, better lunch, no tie Fridays, and most importantly, more ketchup. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. Mr. De La Hoz, your time begins now.
Hi, my name is Marcos de la Hoz, and I'm running to be your next Student Council President. Many of you already know me, and some of you may not, but hopefully by the end of my campaign, all of you want to get to know me. I'm a positive, hardworking, and dedicated individual. My goal is to channel that positivity and work ethic to serve you, the student body. I've been in all your shoes, either as an underclassman or an upperclassman, and I understand your goals and your needs and what it takes to have a great year next year. My platform includes programs that focus on both the middle and high school in order to bridge the gap in between and promote unity among all students. If you decide to vote for me, I promise I will give my all to have a great year next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De La Hoz. Mr. George, your time will begin now.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Sebastian George, and I am your next presidential candidate for student council, for the student body. First off, I would like to start off by congratulating my peers for president and vice president for all their hard work. This is not easy. We've all stayed up really late doing this, so I'd like to congratulate you guys. Now, I'd like to start off by what sets me apart from the rest of these guys, is my vision. Essentially, the focal point of my campaign is communication for the student body, you guys, to the administration. I plan to pursue reasonable and unique goals to communicate you guys to the administration for the rest of the year. Additionally, I'm interested in the overall betterment of the student body, whether it be through community service or through internships. If I were to summarize my campaign in one word, it would have to be communication. Thank you, and vote Sebastian George for president.
Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Pardo, your time will begin now.
Thank you, TJ. So for those of you guys that don't know me yet, I'd like to think that I've reached out to most of you. My name is Felipe Pardo, and I'm running for your student council president. Now, what I want to start out with is my entire vision, like my whole platform for my campaign, what I built it all around. For me, I have this concept of one Belen. You've seen it all around. It's been everywhere. But what it is basically in our grade, we have a real problem with unity, as the vice president stated. So what I want to do is basically have more activities, give you guys a better time, and give you guys more opportunities to grow not only as a class, but as a Belen community. You've heard so much about this Belen brotherhood and haven't had much experience with it. So I want to bring as many opportunities as possible to make this year, or make next year, and every year following, not only good for you and me, but for every single person in the Belen community, whether that be alumni, whether that be the chess player, whether that be the football player, whether that be anyone in between. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pardo. Mr. Christie, your question will be, the job of vice president and president are very demanding. What are you willing to do differently or give up in order to meet the demands of the office?
I am pretty devoted to this. I actually am not a member of any sport, although I am very much willing to commit myself to this school, and I am entirely devoted to serving you and being your bridge between the administration and the student body. I'd like to think, I hope nobody disagrees with me, that I get along well with the administration, and I think that I can actually serve very well as a conduit between them and yourself for your ideas and to communicate responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. Mr. De Los, your question is, what is the #1 flaw you see in student council and how will you fix it?
Thank you, TJ. That's a great question because that's one of my main concerns in my platform. Because I know everyone here has a voice and everyone always wants to have their voice heard, and I know 6th graders, middle school, you guys feel left out sometimes. So what I really want to do is I'm a very approachable person, easy to talk to. You can ask anyone that knows me. I'm friendly, always have a smile on my face. I'm positive. So I'm that guy that you can talk to, and I will get your voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Los. Mr. George, your question will be, what is the one thing you want to accomplish at the end of your tenure?
The one thing, as stated in my platform, probably my biggest thing, aside from the communication of you guys to the administration, is what I call the Belen Alumni Internship Program. Completely new, never been heard of or used before. Essentially, we're going to create a link between you guys to the Belen Alumni Association, which we know has many connections in the business world throughout Miami and the world. Essentially, any areas of interest that you guys are interested in, law, medicine, engineering, whatever it may be, starting from 6th to 12th grade, any time of the year, summer, weekends, during the week, the Belen Alumni Association is going to provide you guys with voluntary internships to get you guys experience and interested in different professional areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Pardo, your question is, are there any plans or ideas you have to speak to the administration differently to improve communication?
Thank you, TJ. So for me, I think the biggest issue with communicating to the administration is getting the ideas of the entire student body directed to them. So for us as a student council, at least through my involvement in and out, I've noticed that the meetings that we have with the homeroom representatives aren't as productive as they could be. So I'd like to propose ideas where we have maybe more productive meetings or elect different representatives for each grade so that we can get your ideas directly to the administration. So it wouldn't be an idea just from the student council or from the seniors. It would be from the scope of each and every single student at Belen. And I think that would be really important in terms of everybody having a fantastic year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pardo. We will now move on to the town hall questions.
Thank you. This is directed towards all the candidates. A common theme that's been present in all your platforms is the unity of Belen. But what I want to know is, what makes your platform different than the other candidates?
I hate to be blunt, but all of us are pretty similar in how we want to run the school. We're all trying to unify Belen. We all have the same common goals. The way we go about it is going to be slightly different, obviously, but the main message is still the same, and so I think that's the main answer, that we're all trying the same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. Mr. DeLos?
Thank you. So one of the main points of my platform is this idea of the carpool connection. What this is that I know all of you, I've been there before when I was younger. I couldn't find a ride to school, and I didn't know who would be able to take me that day and who was available that day. So basically what I would do is I'll implement a system where kids that cannot drive can find kids, students who do drive to school, and they can find out their schedules. So like let's say a kid, he's in a sport, and that kid driving is in a sport too. He can take him to school. And it'll be this whole system that they will be able to find rides easily. Because I've been there before, it's hard to find rides when you're younger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLos. Mr. George?
Great question, Palacio. With regards to unity of the class, I believe what sets me apart would be my clause on communication and pep rallies. Essentially, like I said, the link on campus giving us, the students, the ability to mold the policy as long as it's in line with the administration to ways that conform to us and that are reasonable for us. Additionally, in regards to pep rallies, which I haven't mentioned, I believe that all grades should be more involved in individual pep rallies. For example, if there's a chariot race or any kind of competition within the pep rallies, perhaps all grades or all classes should be represented and all of them should be able to compete. Usually it's just a senior class. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Pardo?
Thank you, Placido. So, I mean, if you look at the candidates here, we're on the stage running for president of Belen. Of course, we're going to have similar platforms and similar values because we all love Belen, or else we wouldn't be up here. We all love you guys, and we all love our school. It's opened so many doors for us. Now, the thing that sets me apart from all my candidates is I'm trying to really make a difference in our community. I'm really trying to make a push for these activities, such as a new field day, so no one's left out, so that the middle schoolers that are playing a random basketball match have support and have love from everyone in the community coming behind them. And also, just overall, trying to strengthen the ties between every single student through these activities, just so we have a better experience, not only as a class, but as a school, so that we can support our school in everything that we do and have the best year yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pardo.
Thank you.
We have the closing statements now. Mr. Christie, you have 1 minute. Begin.
Thank you again for your attention this afternoon. From this debate, it's clear that all three candidates here are going to serve you very well if you were to elect them. But if my proposals of more apps, better lunch, and no tie Fridays appeal to you, then please vote for me, Lucas Christie, for Student Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. Mr. De La Hoz, you may now begin.
Thank you. So at this point, my fellow candidates have presented their ideas. There have been some great ideas. I got to give it to you guys. But now it's your choice to decide who you want to be the next president. Being the Student Council President requires countless hours of dedication and commitment. If you go for me, I promise that I will work tirelessly to make next year a great and successful year. I also have a video to show you guys. It's a former Belen student who was the MVP of the soccer state championship game last year.
Hi Belen community, it's Frankie Della Camera, class 2016. I'm in freezing cold Pennsylvania and still supporting Mackey to be your student council president. When it comes to vote for Mackey. It's as easy as winning the state championship 5-2.
Thank you, Mr. De La Hoz. Mr. George?
Thank you, gentlemen. Once again, I remind you that your voices need to be heard. I also remind you that I am fully prepared and dedicated to transmit your voices, ideas, suggestions, or complaints to the administration or to anybody that needs them to be heard. I am also prepared to stay here at Belen as president countless hours, the nights. I'm preparing, planning pep rallies, events for you guys, anything, whatever it may be. I am your representative, so allow me to channel your voices and be heard. Vote Dallas George for president. The time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Pardo, your time begins now.
So I just want to start off by saying thank you to all you guys for giving me this opportunity. So I just want to say thank you guys for allowing me to be your voice, at least for a little while. But what you're going to see next year if you vote me for president is a grade, not only each and every single one of your grades, but each and every single one of you, from the chess player to the football player to the basketball player to everybody in between, you guys are going to feel that brotherhood. You guys are going to feel that hype. And we're going to have many activities and outlets for each and every single one of you to be a part of that brotherhood. And I'm excited to see what happens next year. Thank you to all these candidates. They all got great ideas. But I hope you guys can vote me for president. Felipe for president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pardo. That concludes the presidential debate. You guys may now walk off the stage. Thank you to everybody who showed up, and good afternoon, Belen.